T4Tuesdays. I know last week I promised that we would have Michael Casas on the video this week, but with his onboarding, just some scheduling things, it wasn't able to happen. He will for sure be on the video next week, and we might just break with form and just post a video up next week with Mike. He's a colleague, a former colleague of mine at the church that I came from. We worked in the community ministry together. He's at Grace Point, the adult ministries pastor over Grace Point Medical Center now. I know that the people at Medical Center got to meet him in a Zoom call. Super excited for our folks at West to get to know him. I've learned a ton from him personally, and he's just a blessing and an encouragement. With that said, I think that the season we're in, God is wanting to take the church to a new level of influence and relevance in our country specifically today. I've heard people say in the past that the church has lost its prophetic voice, and that means the right to speak into things by a couple of different things, like political alignments or like desires, representing some causes and not others. But I believe that we're stepping into a new level of relevance and influence as we enter this kind of transitional season out of the COVID time. It's just, there's something spiritual about these seasons. I can't quite describe it, but I think it's a real thing. And it's the time for the kingdom of God through us, the presence of Jesus, to be manifest in the places where we're at. You know, in Greek, the word kingdom is basilia. It means like the rule and reign of the king, the influence and the desire of the king manifest or made real in the places that we're at. And that's what we're after. That's what we're after. I know that in Luke, Jesus says this little phrase. He says, if I cast this demon out by the finger of God, then the kingdom of God is upon you. Well, we know he did cast it out by the finger of God, which means there's this ability, there's this presence of the kingdom of God in us as believers. And Jesus preached a ton about the kingdom. There are two little mini parables that he tells in the book of Matthew that I'd like to share with you today. Matthew 33, the first one starts in verse 31. It says, he told them another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed, which a man took and planted in his field. Though it is the smallest of all seeds, yet when it grows, it is the largest of the garden. It is the largest of the garden plants and becomes a tree, so that the birds come and perch in its branches. So in this season where people are needing help and respite and support, that's exactly what that tree represents. Is the kingdom of God is inserted into to these situations. It provides just what people are looking for, shade in this 100-degree heat that is the tension that we're experiencing today. That shade can only be provided to them, though, if we're near, if we're in proximity, if we're interacting, if we're letting that part of our life, of our relationship with God overflow and touch the other areas. So check this out. He continues. Verse 33, it says, but he told them still another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like yeast that a woman took and mixed into about 60 pounds of flour until it worked all the way through the dough. So, you know that the way that yeast or leaven works, when it's mixed into the flour, there's a chemical reaction and the bread rises. The nature of the bread changes because the yeast was mixed into it. That's the very nature of the kingdom of God. And we as carriers of the kingdom, as we get mixed into society, as we rub shoulders with people, as we have influence and share what God is doing and his desire with the people around us, it should change. The world should change. And this is not as daunting a task as it could sound. It's not like, let's wave a wand and make this magical change happen right away. It's in the influence that you have, where you live, where you work, and where you play, the relationships that you have there. Live your fullest, realist, most vibrant Christian life there, and watch what that influence can do. Watch how people come to you for respite and support, to hear from you and receive from you. Watch when people come to you and ask you for prayer. It will make a difference. And if we're all living that way, imagine the difference that we can make. One of the things I love about the city of San Antonio is it's a little big city. Little enough for a movement to get started here, but big enough to influence the other cities in the state of Texas. As like a movement getting started in Texas, we know as a state can influence the rest of the United States. So I'm just crazy enough to believe that if we're living an others-focused kingdom lifestyle, we could see some change. Okay. That is my encouragement for today. I want to keep it short. I'm already at 5 minutes, but bless y'all. We'll see you next Tuesday and maybe before. Peace.